Okay. All right. I am doing a video. It's a million people doing videos. I did not want to do a video. Uh, so many people on social media, and everyone has something of value to add. Everyone has um, some good stuff, and there's something out there for everyone. My name is Cassandra. My mother named me Cassandra. My father wanted to name me Cassandra. And my mother thought it was too common, so she tweaked it and changed it to Cassandra. I like my name. Uh, but I also have several names, many names. But the one that I choose um, to be referred to by is Ruth, which is my spiritual name, and I'm an empress. I belong to a Coptic church. Um, and an empress, she rules her empire. What's my empire? Myself. You learn to rule yourself. You learn how to conduct yourself. You learn how to walk right, to talk right, to think in a certain manner, in the way that I am God wants you to think. And it's a process. And I have been walking this walk for many years. Many years. I was introduced to God by going to church with my grandmother. And because my mother really wasn't a church goer at that time, she would go every now and then, but that wasn't her thing um, at that time. And so my grandmother was like, bring her over because she needs to know who God is, and I'll take her to church with me every Sunday. So that's was my introduction. And then when I became a young adult, I chose to search out a church because I was interested in learning of him. I knew of him, but I wanted to know more. And I found a church that I was interested in and that I grew to really love. Um, and in that love, it turned into me learning a lot about God, about the particular religion um, that I participate in, and it taught me a lot about myself. We have a Sunday school, which is not Sunday school, but I say that so everyone knows what I'm talking about, and we call it Class School of Wisdom, where you're taught back to yourself. And I used to always say, "Talk back to yourself," when I first heard it. Like, what does that mean? And over the years, I have come to realize really what that means. Because when you're born with everything that you need inside of you. Everything you need inside of you. And somewhere along the lines, you are um, taught things from family and traditions and schooling and work and society and friends, and you learn a whole bunch of stuff that have absolutely nothing to do with God. And so you kind of learn backwards, because as I got older, I wanted to learn of him, which that was something I should have learned as a child, which I did, but not in the way and in the depths that it should have been given. That it should have been given to a lot of people, in my opinion. because looking at the world and how we interact with each other, how we talk to each other, how we treat each other, it really doesn't look good, and it really is not a representation of who my God is. So being taught back to yourself, I can just really think right now where I am as a person, and I feel for the first time in my life that I'm truly myself, not trying to be someone else, which I never really did. So I thought, but looking back in hindsight, I was trying to be someone else, or I was trying to live up to expectations of what I thought I was supposed to be doing and what I was taught, or how I was supposed to treat people or interact with people. I was always a people pleaser, and I never wanted to, make anybody upset, those that I really loved. So I would do things for them, or act in a certain manner to appease a situation, and not truly being myself, or speaking out about some of the things that were going on that just didn't sit well with me. So when you kind of avoid to appease people, you're not being yourself. And there's a way to still be yourself and be truthful and deliver it in such a manner where it can be received. And some people just will never receive information. Let's just put that out there. Some people just won't receive it. But you can't be concerned that much where it hampers you from being true to oneself. And so that's what I learned. I learned how to be true to myself. And being true to yourself, you really have to be honest with yourself, honest with the people that you interact with. And because one thing about serving God, it says, serve Him in spirit and in truth. And I dare anybody to say, oh, I'm serving Him in spirit and in truth. Yeah, are you really serving Him in spirit and truth? Because if you're serving Him in spirit and in truth, that means you're true to yourself. You can't be serving God in spirit and truth and you're not true to yourself. Honesty is a lost art form. It's lost. It was lost on me. I see it lost when I watch television, which I really don't ever watch. I haven't watched TV in about 5-6 years, but every now and then I'll be somewhere and they'll have a television on and I'll watch, and you'll watch the commercials. They line in the commercials because they manipulate in order to get your attention and to get you in to buy their product. It's manipulation. It's not truth. They just want to sell you a burger. Is it 100% ground beef? That's what they tell you. Is that true? So things like that. This life is one that you really need to open your eyes and pay attention to in this world. This world is built on a system that is not conducive to a person being true to themselves. I went to grammar school and I learned how to read and to write and do arithmetic. And I was never really a good student. I was not good at school at all. And I had older siblings. I'm the youngest of 5 children. And all my siblings were much older than I. And so I kind of grew up like an only child. And they were all really good in school, with the exception of my brother Michael. He was like a rebel. If he did it, he did it. If he didn't, he didn't. But he got out of high school. But he really wasn't interested in school. But he was smart. He was smart. All my siblings are smart. Um, and my mother would worry, like, I don't know why she's not getting it. I don't understand. I have all these children, and all of them do well in school, but she's not getting it. And I had a teacher for 2 years. She taught me. She was my teacher. I'm not even gonna say she taught me, but she did teach me. She taught me about bigotry. She taught me for 2 years, for the third and the fourth grade, so 8 and 9 years old. And we'd come in the classroom and she'd have the lesson written up on the board. And you would sit down in your seat and you read the board. And if you didn't understand, I was taught if you didn't understand something, go to the teacher and ask them for assistance, because that's what they're there for. That's what my mother would tell me. So I would go and I would ask her, and she would say, read the board. And I'd be like, I read the board. She was like, read the board. And, dismiss me. And I'm like, okay, I read the board. I don't understand. I try and ask, one of my classmates next to me and get shushed. And so it's like, that's how children get lost in the shuffle in the public school system or any school system, depending on the teacher. And there are some excellent teachers out there. I have no problem against teachers, but I have a problem with systems that are set up, and they're set up in such a way where people are going to be left behind and left out, and a lot of it is done purposeful. Whether people believe that or not, it's purposeful. And you can look at it as far as in the urban community, in the black community, and our children don't do well in these school systems. We have some that do excellent and excel because we have some bright and talented young minds out there, and they soar. But we have some bright and talented young minds in there who learn differently, who see things differently. And if they can't get the one size fits all kind of teaching, they'll get left behind and they'll get labeled unteachable or slow, or just kind of left in the dust. I have an example of my nephew, and he was just over this past weekend, and my daughter said, I was talking to him, and and he's 11, and she was like, I didn't realize how old he was, because the conversation we were having, he was just so intelligent and smart, and he was telling me, and she said he told me that he was in a LD class, and she's like, why, you so smart? He's like, yeah, I know, right? And that's what I mean. And his process is different, and because his process is different, he's labeled learning disability, and that boy is not slow at all. So the systems are set up, and there are no checks and balances for things of that nature. So back to this third, fourth grade teacher that I had. She was a white lady. She was a big woman, and she had this mushroom, the bowl, they used to call it a bowl haircut, made her look like a little boy. And I would, just be frustrated because I would go, and anytime I got stuck, I knew I wouldn't get no help in that class. And I would ask a friend, and